This is a seated version of the Piriformis Stretch. We'll also be using a contract and relax cycle with it. But first we want to make sure that we either need to sit flat on the floor if you can, or if you need a prop, something like a yoga block, or anything that can elevate your hips a little bit higher depending upon your lower back. I'll show you here. So with our legs straight, let's take one leg, pull it in here, and then cross the opposite leg over that knee, and then sit on both sit bones. If this heel is in the way of the hip getting all the way to the floor, you just got to move it out enough to where that hip can rest on the ground. And from here, I'm going to line my shoulders up. I'm going to twist them so they're in line with this bottom shin. And then I'm going to sit up nice and tall. So from here, I should be able to get my back straight, my lower back. So if I'm rounded in here and I can't get up any taller, then that's when we need to think about elevating the hips to some degree. So if I'm able to get here rotated and my back is nice and straight, then both hips are on the floor, then this is the right position for you. Otherwise, just do the same thing sitting on a block or a book or a weight plate or a box, something that you can find either at home or the gym, and work your way back down to the floor eventually. So again, I'll take my leg, pull it in, cross the other one over the top, try to sit on both sit bones, moving this heel out just enough to where I can do that. Then I'm going to sit up really tall, rotate until my shoulder line is in line with this bottom shin here, and then I'm going to make sure this hip doesn't come too far off the ground. I want to sit back into it, and then I'm going to grab my knee for the final part and pull it in toward my chest, and just pulling in enough to where I can still maintain the other positions. I definitely don't want to round my back. I don't want to lose my rotation. I want to keep this hip on the ground. So I'm taking my elbow all the way around the knee. That might be too far. It might make you hunch. So if that's the case, back away and use your hands to do it. So I'm sitting up tall. I'm reaching this hip back down onto the floor. Shoulders are in line with the shin, and I'm pulling my knee in until I feel the right amount of stretch here. So remember, the stretch should never be painful. Uncomfortable, there is that to stretching, but painful, you're just going too far with it. We want something like a 70%, 60% intensity in your stretch. And then we're breathing, letting this initial stretch settle in. Anywhere from 15 to up to 30 seconds. Then we're going to do the first cycle of contract and relax. So contracting by driving my knee out into my arm's not going to let it move. And I'll feel the same muscle I felt stretching, it's going to tensen up into activation. So I'm driving my knee out. I'm starting at about 30% intensity. And you have to kind of experiment with how much force you're using. Sometimes it takes a little bit more than 30%. Start with 30. See what type of release you get after the contract. If not much, you might need to apply a little bit more force, working your way up to 50, even maybe even 60% intensity on your push. I'm going to sustain this push, which I've been doing the whole time, and for about 10, maybe even 15 seconds, and then I'm going to relax completely, let go of that, make sure my position's right, shoulders are in line with the shin, my back is up straight, my hip is down. I'm going to inhale, and when I exhale, I'm going to try to pull this knee further in toward me, which is going to intensify the stretch. But again, I'm able to move because I did the contract. And I'm able to move as far as it told me it was ready to go. So I'm not forcing the issue on. Now I'm still back into that 70% intensity for me, but my knee's much closer to my body, and the stretch, the tissue's a lot longer now. And so I can do that again. I can do that anywhere from 2 to 3 up to 5 revolutions of this contract-relax cycle. And so I've been stretching now. So I contract once, I relax, reposition, get the new stretch, maintain the new stretch for 10 to up to 30 seconds again. Then I'll go through the contract-relax cycle again. I'm pressing my knee out into my arm again. 5, 4, 3, 2, and then I relax it completely. Make sure my shoulders are in line, My back is straight, I'm reaching this hip to the floor. Inhale. And when I exhale, I can pull that knee in closer. So if I didn't get as much movement as I did, I'd probably go with another cycle, maybe even up to 5 times, depending upon how much movement I get. So I got a lot of good movement, so I'm going to stick with 3 times. After that, again, I've been just stretching here now for another 10 to up to 30 seconds for my last stretch, and then I'm just going to relax and come out of it, and I'll repeat that same cycle on the opposite side.